So here's the fuel tank. Focus, you fuck. Really? It's not going to focus. You're going to play this game. Anyway, fuel tank's rusty internally. And it's rusty externally. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I'm thinking maybe a fuel cell. Because I've got a nice flat spot to mount it to, and I can just pull the lines up through the plate and, you know, do it that way. Plus I've got power here for the fuel pump. It's not like the fuel gauge worked anyway, so don't really need that. Change the tyre to the spare because this one always did go down. I can never remember whether it leaked on the bead or whether it had a puncture. But it's that sun damaged that pretty basically wants to go out and be burnt out like donuts all night or something stupid with the boys. And this front one's alright, but I wouldn't trust it. The other one's got a big split in the sidewall. Yeah, right down here. And you can't see it because I've got not enough light here. It's about 100 mil long. Anyway, so there ain't no driving fast on that one. At least not out in the road. So I've pulled all the loom off on the top half of the plenum. My workshop cat's back. Anyway, got to change the fuel rail. Well, take the fuel rail out and see if those injectors are any good. I got one that's not pulsing, which is number 3. I can only assume that it had power. I can soon work that out anyway. And I reckon I've probably got another cylinder that was dead. So there's the top half of the plenum. And I found some. They weren't where they were supposed to be. They were on the farm, in amongst my other crap. That one's dodgy. It's missing the end. I actually found that one turns and they can actually pull it out, but anyway, see, that one feels stuck too. I'm not sure whether they're supposed to turn or not. I can't remember. Anyhow, that injector will have to rob out of the other set that comes out of the car, I think. Anyway, this was on a head in a manifold that was attached to a head. The time in which I took it off, the head off the other car, which none of this actually belongs to me, it belongs to a friend of mine. But his parts are still at my place, from 12 years ago. So, in a nutshell, finders keepers for the moment. He won't mind anyway. Plus, he benefits if I get this thing going too. Because, well, we can both cut some donuts in it and go drifting and whatever. And I can teach a few other people. So anyway, someone robbed. This is not the good set. This is a leaky set out of a particular red Skyline wagon because someone pinched parts that aren't even mine out of a head that's been laying in the workshop on the farm for a particular red Skyline wagon, and then these are the leaky cunts out of a particular red Skyline wagon. But leaky is better than not working at all. So, I guess that's one thing. The other thing is, it's not charging. Because the voltage regulator out of this car went in a particular red Skyline wagon. And the regulator that I was given back to put back in this once this thing come home late last year now, was probably the one that was fucked out of the red Skyline wagon. And so now, I have to pay another $100 fucking. I'm sorry to bitch, but I've got to vent. For a regulator that was never fucking needed for this car. So I'm a bit fucked off because I always fucking have to help people, and then I'm left with the fucking carnage, because I don't think anybody ever asked me to take it. Or can we, they might have said, can we try it to see whether it's the problem with this other alternator? But then they never fucking put anything back in here that worked. And this always fucking happens to me. So now I've got to fuck around with that. The only thing I'm thinking about doing, because it's got a stupid regulator on it, is trying to find the light wire and put an older type alternator on there. I've got a 55 amp with an older type regulator, and splicing that wire and putting it into the excitation port and taking that pulley off of this one and trying to swap them between the two alternators, if the bracket's even the fucking same. You know, like, you know, and it's not like the last fucking 6 years I haven't been, 7 or 8 years actually, I haven't been living on a shoestring budget and putting myself into debt just to live, let alone have any fucking fun. And that is why this car sat for so long. So, you know, I spent $700, I got the gearbox for it. And it's a good second-hand one, although it's not been put in to test it. I had the clutch for fucking 8 years for the thing, because the clutch died and the gearbox was sick. And now, the other thing is, someone's been whippersnipping or mowing and broke a light. So now I've got to find a fucking light for it. But if I had busted somebody else's car, you know, I would have fucking paid for it. I would have gone, I owe you a light, so when you're ready to get it going, just fucking tell me and I'll go find you a light. Or I would have found them a light on eBay and just said, there's a light in your car because I busted your other one with a whippersnapper. You know, like, flick the stone into it. Big deal. Shit happens. But nobody fucking said anything. And like fuck, you wouldn't have heard it. Anyway, rant over. So, yeah, now I've just got the little knuckle on the thingy there. I was going to whip those out. Let's see what I can salvage. I want to see how dirty it is inside of here. That's your fuel pressure regulator. And what I'm wondering, you see, there's a couple of vacuum lines here. Which is, it's kind of weird. This one here goes up to the throttle body. But it goes back to the carbon canister. I'm wondering if I can delete it. Whereas this one goes up to the manifold and controls fuel pressure due to vacuum or lack of. And say if it's got no vacuum, then it would have full fuel pressure. This would be shut due to the fact that, well, when you're in full throttle, there's no vacuum because everything's open to atmosphere. Even this far down. Oh, well, it's not even this far down. It's straight into the plenum. So, yeah. On that one, yeah, that's the one that, hang on. That also goes to the, that goes to the bloody carbon canister. So is that one. There must be another one somewhere. Wait a minute. I could be wrong. Yeah, no, I'm right. Yeah, both of those go to the carbon canister. Oops, I'm looking all over the place. Both of those go to the carbon canister. Weird. Anyway, I suppose I should pull the regulator off too and check that. That's not such a bad idea. This is the second start it had. The video I posted last night was the second start that this thing had. Now the first start it had ticky top end sound. Because, I mean, that was the first time it got any oil flow or any warmth in it for, well, we think about 10 to 12 years. Maybe, yeah, roughly. So what I did is automatic transmission fluid's got a lot of additives in it. So I had a little bit of that just to freshen up this old oil that's in it. And then, because I'm not going to drive it on it, I just want to run it, get it to run properly. And then once it's hot, give it an oil change. But all the top end noises stopped since then. So all the lifters, hydraulic lifters work, or hydraulic buckets or whatever the hell's under it, under the rocker gear. They all work properly now. So anyway, bit of a bonus there. No ticky towns. Just needed to run, get warmed up, and have a bit of good oil chucked in there just to spice things up a bit. And yeah. So I just got to check everything else, I suppose. Kind of got to go through the whole thing. I've blown the fuel lines back. So for now, I've got a fuel pump here somewhere. Oh, I've actually used it. I don't know where I put it. Yeah, here. This is the transfer pump that we normally use for a transfer pump. But it's actually I think it's an 044 Bosch. Anyhow, it's big enough to run a V8 supercar on its own. There's a guy for Volkswagen that's got 2 of those in there and still runs the car lean, can't supply enough fuel. But it'll run this thing fine. So I'm just thinking, just temporarily, I'll just put it into a 20 litre. Put the return into a 20 litre tub, sit it in the boot, just for running it in the shed here, not for driving it. If it moves anywhere, it'll only move from here to the pit. There's a perfect wheel well to stick in there. Just strap the 20 litre in there and stick the hoses in there. I've got power here for the car loom. Difference between this and the VL Commodore is this will run for 8 seconds and it will stop with no crank impulse, and then it will run after that, the pump full time, once it's got an impulse. Whereas the VL just runs pump as soon as you turn the ignition on. So yeah, it's got a fair bit of clean up to do. I've got a door that won't shut on the other side. The kids opened it. And they did the same thing to this one, but I got lucky and squirted jizz through here with the handle up. I'm not going to open it again. And I should weld the thing shut if it's going to be a street car, like a street race car. Bloody go out Malala or somewhere. Anyhow, we'll contemplate that when we get there, if we get there. Anyhow. And then through the child safety lock thing, I stuck the hose for the WD-40 in there and sprayed in there and got it all to work, and so it was shut. But I've done the same thing to that side, but I've had no success. I put enough WD-40 that was running out the bottom of the door. So, and this one's stiff still. I can do all the other doors, but these 2 front ones open and shut. So yeah, anyhow, there. That's my long ass rant and video. So, like, I am getting annoyed with people just helping themselves to my shit and never replacing it. Like, I'll help most people and, give them the world, so to speak. Very rarely do I ever get anything back, and I mean, not supposed to want anything back, but, just sometimes I'd like a hand. And previously I've asked for help several times from several different people, and the only people that wanted to help me were like 100 kilometres away or more. And I've got people that are less than 2 minutes away. I've got one neighbour that will help me, but he always helps me, so I shouldn't always have to call on him. Like, before we had kids, the missus would always help me. So, I've had to ask another friend to come and help me next weekend. I'd do some trees. And maybe move some other cars around that I got. Around. So, like, I've penciled him in. He's like, what are we doing? I'm like, I'm not sure yet. It depends on the weather. Because if it's 45 degrees, we won't be cutting trees. If it's 45 degrees, I could get 2 out of 3 cars and bring them home. One, I think I will part out, because Some idiot I know wants a transmission. Look, he's not an idiot. He's just does things the wrong way. Doesn't ask, just takes. So, yeah. And I've got another friend that wants an engine and a transmission out of another car, so, you know, maybe. And I've got a car that now the body is ruined on. The front's rusted, the back's rusted. It's got a rally engine in it. It's got a good gearbox, good clutch. And I'm kind of like, do I put that in my Blue Ute? Because one day I'll pull that engine out, fix what's wrong with it. Because I popped the head gasket. It's got to be 220 psi at least. And popped the head gasket. Well, the thing is to do second and third gear donuts with the standard. I think that one's actually got Bosch carby on it. 2-barrel, pissy little thing, but it was reliable as you could turn the key. The choke all worked. You let it warm up. You could drive the thing as hard as you want and pop the head gasket. And it possibly was because they were dodgy batch of head gaskets as well. But it is a high compression engine, naturally aspirated, so I got to work out what I'm doing with it. So yeah, I mean it's kind of fixable, but I need to cut the whole roof out across the front window. So yeah, we'll see. So I am tempted to part that car out. But yeah, can't quite get off the bead. I got 3 more of these, but they're in gold. Guy was supposed to drop the 4th one off, but of course, I never did. And I paid for it too. Shits me because the parts car of these, one of these I gave away. I didn't give it away. Fuck, might as fucking well have. Guy says, I'm $100 short, can I give it to you next week? I said, sure, no worries. You live up the road? And he's like, yeah, I live up the road. I'm like, cool, no worries, I know where you live. Anyhow, next week never came. Well, next week came and went. The money never came. And I'm like, fucking figured. Should never let it out the driveway. Anyhow. Don't know where he is now. Moved, car's gone. I'm like, righto. That sucks. You know, that's fucking a couple of times now I've been burnt. Anyhow. And that would have had good injectors, because that was completely out of fuel. They would have had good injectors. The engine had ticky oil pump problems, because it'd been absolutely royally caned before I got it. It like drifted like anything. And they backed the screws out the back of the oil pump. And yeah, once you do them back up again and clean up all the surfaces and do them up, and then you punch and knock the screws around so that you can't get them undone, they never seem to back out after that. And there's a couple of other modifications you can do to give them more oil pressure as well. Not that they really need it, but it's helpful if you're running a turbo and whatever. It just gives a bit more flow. Anyhow, that was going to be enough. It wouldn't take long to rip this out, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go inside, sort my stuff out for work again, and close this up for the night. Well, that shed cat's proven itself useful. It's looking at me like I'm the idiot. It's probably right. So what have you got yourself into? Alright, out for now.